Hello, everyone. This is the voice, Sean Ortiz, and I want to thank you so much for joining me this week on the following conversation is scheduled for one fall. As you've been hearing me mention on social media, I was on What a Time to Be Alive podcast with Lou Acosta. Of course, it was me and Bosch, and we were honoring the late Scott Hall at the time of his passing. Being on that program was the germ that made me kind of say, all right, maybe I kind of want to get into podcasting again. Having said that, that germ later migrated over a topic of conversation with other wrestlers at a local pizza shop where we discussed different training facilities in the Northeast, and the debate came up of which has been around the longest, particularly in the state of New Jersey. There's so many in the Northeast. There's Johnny Rod's, now for the future, there's Technique to Train. Of course, there is the Monster Factory up in Massachusetts. There's Killer Kowalski's school at the time. And of course, there's ECPW, East Coast Professional Wrestling, led by this week's guest, Gino Caruso. I personally find Gino to be particularly unsung for his longevity, for the amount of shows that he does in a calendar year, and just his overall work ethic. Gino Caruso has been using me on his shows since about the tail end of 2020, and he's been a tremendous mentor and friend since. I enjoy his banter. I enjoy doing commentary with him. I love getting a laugh out of Gino, but most importantly, I truly respect his passion and his purity for the love of professional wrestling. I felt it my business to try to get an interview with someone that, in all honesty, everyone should try to interview. Everyone should try to pick Gino's brains all the same. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, the following conversation is scheduled for one fall with my guest, Gino Caruso. Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sean Ortiz. The following conversation is scheduled for one fall. Joining me at this time, someone who I find extremely underrated and unsung in the Garden State, someone I consider a friend, someone I consider a mentor for the last couple of years of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Italy himself, Gino Caruso. How are you, sir?
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. It's been a long time since I've seen you. I'm excited. Yeah. So, like I mentioned to you before we went on.
Don't mess with my cigar.
No, who gave it to you?
You did.
Okay.
How do you think you got this?
Community property. Until you light it. So, is it you? How long have you been, or ECPW? Because then there was Rocket. There was Rocky. Right? So, what's the total lineage of the school?
So, East Coast Pro Wrestling, we started the training center in 1991.
Okay.
So that's 33 years.
33 years.
And it was started by myself and Rocky Jones.
Right.
He was the guy that trained me. And we got together and just started talking that there was a need for a school in the area because a lot of people come up to us at shows and looking to train.
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit before we went on. At this time, it's you, Johnny Rods, Kowalski, who else is in the Northeast at that time?
When I first broke into the wrestling business in 1988.
Right.
And Rocky Jones, Jerry Fazio trained me. I knew them since I was a kid. And there was basically 3 schools on the Northeast. Killer Kowalski up in Massachusetts, Johnny Rods in Brooklyn, and Larry Sharp in South Jersey.
Okay. Now, 33 years, it's a generation later. Here we are, WWE, AEW, Impact, all these things. You see all these kids.
Yeah.
I want to get signed. I want to be on TV. I want to make money. I want to this. I want to that.
Right.
When you started, were the aspirations the same? Because you were just before the Monday Night War, and on top of that, WWE was everything. What goals did you have? Because I'm certainly, when you want to be a wrestler, you didn't think, I want to be a trainer, or a good one at that.
No, so like everybody else, when you first start, you want to go as far as you can in this business.
Right.
And get opportunities to wrestle for a big major company like a WWF when I first started, WCW, ECW, those type of things. And there were still some territories around. It was like towards the tail end.
Yeah.
So you could still go work in Florida. You could still, it wasn't, the territories weren't as hot as they were in like the 70s.
Yeah.
And early 80s, this was towards the end of the tail end of it.
So I only want to bring this up because I don't think you're a student of the game unless people hang out with you or do commentary with you. They don't realize how much you know about the business. So, like, where is there a reason? The NWA was big in New Jersey in the 90s. Was there a reason ECPW was never in that fold per se?
We were asked many times to run a division of NWA and just wanted to do our own thing.
Okay.
You know, not be attached to anybody and just, you know, the only reason We got the school rolling. Was Rocky Jones and I. There was a need for it, but I wasn't looking at it as a business because I was already trying to be a full time wrestler.
Right.
And for me, it was just a way to come and train more and learn and get better for myself, so I can go out there. And then we just decided we should do some shows because these students need a place to go out and learn.
And you also, like, one of the things I like about you train the proper way, you train old school, you watch your students, you tell them when they're ready to go. Because let's be honest, a lot of kids are like, I want to have a match already.
And we all do.
Yeah.
Listen, we all start and we can't wait to get in there. And your first day, you want to I want to learn how to do a moonsault.
Right.
So you got to put in your work. It's going to take 5 or 6 months at least before you're able to have your first match.
Yeah.
Maybe longer, and each person's different.
Now, because a lot of people, I think, just name, if you can, a small handful of the people you've been in the ring with.
Did I have wrestling?
Yes. Because I don't think people know, man.
Here's the problem. With the wrestling business, there's
The
a
list
lot.
is so long
there's-
of people that you've put over. I know. That's what you're
No,
going to
but
tell
I'm
me.
just saying there's a lot of people that put themselves over.
Right, right,
And I always thought if you have to do that, you're really not that good.
right.
But if people ask me about it, I'm not gonna not tell them the truth.
Sure,
but I don't
your
need to. I
accomplishments.
don't need to go out there and kind of just tell you what I've done. I've been lucky enough to be in the ring with some great competitors, great guys that made me look good and taught me a lot. Superfly Jimmy Snuka, Tito Santana, Tony Atlas, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Bam Bam Bigelow. I mean, I'm gonna probably miss a lot of guys, but there was, and then not only just top name talent, other guys that were just very good wrestlers that never got to that next level to be a big star. They were just phenomenal wrestlers, and learned a lot from everybody.
And how many matches did you have last year, 2023?
Myself,
Yes.
I don't do a lot, but
But you're still doing them.
I probably did like 30-something matches.
About 30 something.
Yeah.
How many shows did ECPW run
Last
by
year
the end of it?
we did 2023 was our best year. We did 132 live events,
Wow. How many states?
17 states.
Wow. And now let me ask you candidly, why did you overcharge Stallone for the photo? A lot of people don't know this. Gino Caruso's in Rocky 5, and if you go just right under Frank Stallone, it says Gino Caruso.
Yeah.
And why?
Right on.
Yeah, and Stallone's like, hey, I don't want to pay for the auto. Well, brother, I'll give you the photo deal. Why? It's sly, man.
He's got the money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Nah.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. A friend of mine, Hawaiian Hurricane, was security and knew Tony Manafo, which was Stallone security.
Yeah.
And asked me if I'd like to go down and just do security for the movie Rocky 5, and I said sure, of course I would. Big fan of Rocky the whole bit, and went down there and he picked me up at 11 o'clock Tuesday night. Drove down.
Yeah.
Slept in his car because by the time we got there, we had to be on set by 4:30 at the pet shop, and walk in there and we're there, and a couple of guys start coming in Tony Manafo. We meet him, and then Paulie comes in.
Oh yeah, Burt Young.
Burt Young, and then Stallone walked in, and just started talking. I was wearing a Gold's Gym shirt, and we just started talking about working out, and I told him that I wrestled. I was just getting into the wrestling business a couple of years, and
You're like what, 3 years in at that point, maybe?
that might have been a couple, about 3 years, yeah. And he went back, and then he came over, and he said, Sly wants to know if you guys want to be in the movie. Just give us a bit part. But it was great. It was such a cool experience.
Now, there's a lot of legends you've been blessed to interact with in the business. You told me this awesome story one time that you got booked by Bruno Sammartino on a show that he was running. Did you work his son and you were late?
I didn't get booked by Bruno.
Oh, you didn't get booked by Bruno. But tell the story because it has.
I will.
Yeah, because it has an awesome ending.
So I'm just in the business less than a year.
Okay.
And the promoter was Tommy D, who used to work for Vince McMahon Jr.'s father,
Yes.
senior, and he would run the the 5 boroughs area, and he would promote for Vince's father. So once Vince Jr. took over, they no longer did the small venues. Tommy D started his own organization and started doing shows, and I got introduced to him through another wrestler, and I got booked on a show in Brooklyn. And it was tons of big names in it, like Big John Studd, Kamala, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Ivan Cole. I mean, tons of names. And I'm in the business, several months. That's it. And being from New Jersey, I don't really know much about driving in New York.
Yeah.
You people are crazy over there.
Yeah, when you say you people, you mean 5 boroughs.
I mean, you people.
Okay,
yes.
okay. Yeah.
The New York people.
Okay, yeah.
Relax. So I get lost going there.
Yeah.
And it's like the middle of the week, and it was Our Lady of Guadalupe Church Center. I don't even know where. I finally get there, and I'm late.
She was a Spanish saint.
Yes. So say you. So I get there, and I come in. The show didn't start yet, but, you should be there an hour before showtime.
At least.
And if the show starts at 7:30, I should have been there at 6:30, and it's probably now 7:15.
Uh-huh.
And growing up as a kid, being in the Northeast, being Italian, Bruno Sammartino was my favorite wrestler. He was a god. And I come through the curtain, and the first person I see into the locker room is Bruno Sammartino. And so now I'm starstruck. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
And he says, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
And as I'm trying to mumble the words, I said, "Gino Caruso." He goes, "You're Caruso? You're late. We had to change everything because of you." And walked away.
Storms off.
Now, Bruno was doing commentary, but he was helping Tommy D set up everything. And he was actually doing commentary with Johnny Valiant. So I didn't know if I should cry or leave or what.
Yeah.
So I got dressed, and I wound up actually later wrestling David Sammartino,
Right.
Bruno's son.
You did work David.
Yeah, and it was a opportunity to wrestle him as a baby face and do a 15-minute Broadway, which means a draw, which is a big thing if you're a new guy. To be in there with a name to go a long period of time and be able to actually wrestle and not lose, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
So it was a great opportunity, and we had a pretty good match, and David was happy, and I take a shower, I'm getting dressed, and I feel this big heavy hand on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And
Bruno
I
had
look, and it
massive
was like,
hands.
I thought it was a catcher mitt, but it was Bruno's hand. He says, "Hey, you and David had the best match of the night."
There you go.
And my head shot up. It felt so great from going from getting yelled at
Yes.
to
Were you
that.
ever able to tell him that story later on?
I did.
Did you
Yeah,
really?
so I got to see him, several times
Yeah.
on other shows that he would, when I wrestled out in Pittsburgh and out in West Virginia and Ohio, when he would be like a special appearance there because he lived out in the area. And then even at the Hall of Fame, when we used to do the Hall of Fame shows up in Amsterdam, Bruno would be there. And so I got to know him. And then I was tag team with David Sammartino for a while.
Yeah.
So, obviously, got to see him and be around him, which was a great thrill.
Want to make your dreams of being a professional wrestler reality? Then come on down to ECPW Training Center in Lake Hiawatha, New Jersey. For more details and information, go to ecpw1.com. Make your dreams a reality today. Want to witness the live action that ECPW brings all year round? Then check out the following dates, including an ECPW Adrenaline TV taping emanating from the Phil Sheridan Building in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey on Friday, February 9th. Can't make that? How about Friday, February 16th? When ECPW hits Boonton at the Boonton Elks Lodge at 125 Cornelia Street in Boonton, New Jersey. Saturday, February 17th, Greenwood Lake, New York gets the ECPW action when they hit 35 Chestnut Street. And if you can't make any of those, plan ahead for March 16th when ECPW plans a fundraiser for the Eastchester Little League. We're talking Tommy Dreamer, Alpha Jr., Nunzio, Andrew Anderson, and all the stars of ECPW coming together to wrestle for a great cause. Ladies, are you tired of feeling like you're an emotional roller coaster every month? Well, say goodbye to the drama and hello to the power of confidence with our revolutionary product. Introducing Confidence Boost Tampons, the superheroes of your period. Picture this, you're about to conquer the world, but suddenly your period arrives, and you feel like you've been trapped in a boring rom-com. Well, not anymore. With Confidence Boost Tampons, you'll feel like Wonder Woman riding a unicorn through a field of rainbows. Our tampons are not just ordinary period products, they're little cheerleaders whispering, "You've got this, girl." And the best part, they come built in with a mood booster. No more crying over spilled milk or angry commercials. You'll be too busy laughing and enjoying yourself. So go ahead, conquer that boardroom meeting, crush that workout, and dance like nobody's watching. With Confidence Boost Tampons, there's no stopping you. Forget your superhero capes, ladies, because you're going to unleash the power. Confidence Boost Tampons, because periods should never hold you back. Confident Boost Tampons, the secret weapon every woman needs. Available at your nearest store. Unleash your inner superhero today. By the way, confidence boost doesn't actually give you superpowers, but it makes you feel good during that darn time of the month. To it. Are you
Go
broke?
ahead, bro. Am I what?
Are you broke?
No, I'm not broke.
Did you stop
Well,
running
wait a minute.
shows?
It's not
Did you
about all
stop
these
running
rumors.
shows? Did you stop running shows because you're scared of other promoters?
Of course not.
Did you
Of
stop running
course not.
shows because I have failed every task you have given to me?
Of course not. Actually, no, no, no. I didn't stop running because I was broke, like everybody's spreading rumors. I did not. Uh, I was not scared of any promoter. I've never been scared of any promoter. Hell yeah, I'm probably the one that scares a lot of people. But either way, um,
The following conversation is scheduled for one fall with Cheyenne Ortiz is now live wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Now, I'm going to set this up for you a little bit. The first time I ever heard of ECPW is through your buddy, the Metal Maniac.
Yes.
Because in the 90s, as Mick Foley says, we were all marks for the magazines.
Right.
And the Metal Maniac, who was very close with Bill Apter,
Yes.
was always in the magazines. And I can remember like 95, 96, somewhere before or after Snooker's in Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Like the big thing in the magazines was Snooker and the Metal Maniac. Because,
Yes.
they had that tour forever.
I was there.
Right?
I was
Right?
there most
You were
of them.
there. You ran most of it, right?
No, I wrestled on most of those shows that the Metal Maniac would wrestle either Jimmy. If he didn't wrestle Jimmy, it would be me.
Right. So
Yeah.
that was the first time I heard ECPW.
Right.
And like a lot of people don't know your relationship with Jimmy, with Snooker.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a quote unquote unsavory topic now. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What was your relationship with Jimmy like? Because you knew him on a way different level, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got to meet Jimmy when I first broke into the business, working on independent shows. At that time, Jimmy was coming off of TV and worked a bunch of shows. He was going into ECW, and I was able to work on ECW when it first started. So I got to meet Jimmy and work on a lot of shows with him. And then through the years, just traveling with him, because eventually he wound up living with the Metal Maniac in New Jersey, and we wound up being on a lot of the same shows together, and we all just traveled together for years. So we had, and then just outside of the wrestling business, just being friends with Jimmy, helped me a lot in wrestling and just in life. Was a great guy to be around. Always teaching the new guys about the wrestling business.
Right.
And then really a lot of those guys from that era, they were like that. They were just, Hillbilly Cousin Luke, S.D. Jones, Tito Santana, Tony Atlas, obviously the guys that trained me, Rocky Jones and Jerry Fazio, the Executioner. All those guys that kind of like, they always want to help the newer guys. So that kind of instilled in me the same thing is like, what we have here, we're supposed to pass along.
Right.
And pass along your knowledge and try to help the next group of guys be good and do the same thing and teach them the correct way to do it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So here's some rapid fire stuff. Who's the one name that you didn't work, be it a squash or a Broadway, that you wish you did?
Somebody I never got to
That
work
you
with.
never got to work because you worked tons of people.
I worked a
including
lot.
Flair.
Yeah, I worked Ric Flair twice.
Like to me, I would have been like, I'm good.
I always wanted to wrestle Dean Malenko.
Really?
Because I just thought.
That's such an obscure pick that I love that.
Well, just because I got to work for his dad.
Okay.
Boris Malenko. We were down in Florida. He had a school down there. He was training guys, and actually, 1-2-3 Kid was there, Lightning Kid before, and I got to work him down there. But just always seen Dean wrestle. He's had such a smooth style, and I just thought that we would have good matches together. I had an amateur background, and he did as well, and I just thought I thought it would have been a good matchup.
I really love that pick. I don't think people realize, especially like that 5'8" and below, like how influential Dean. It's gonna be like another generation before you realize how influential Dean was. Plus, he worked like a power wrestler. That was what made him stand out the most.
He was so smooth, so effortless.
Yes.
And so safe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And those were things were taught to him by his dad, right?
Yeah.
So that generation, passed that stuff along.
Yeah. The one name that ECPW almost booked on a show and it didn't happen.
There was actually two really large names.
Okay. I just want to know if one of the two that I think I've heard of.
One of them was Hulk Hogan.
Right. Okay. I finally heard it from you.
And the other one was Sting.
No.
So back in the day,
Give me the Sting story.
probably in
Post WCW.
yeah, definitely. It was probably the early 2000s.
Okay.
And Hogan was through Brutus Beefcake and Jimmy Hart.
Right.
They're saying that he was doing some stuff, and we were doing some big shows, Men in Arena,
Right.
and we were looking to bring him in for that. It just didn't line up with the dates that we had, but it was there.
Okay.
And Sting was through Bobby Rydell, a manager
Sure.
out in Long Island, and he would book a lot of the wrestlers.
Yeah.
And Bobby is heavily involved with church, and Sting was working with him on a lot of these church shows.
Yeah.
And that was another name that we were looking to book.
Wow. I knew the Hogan one.
Yeah.
I just never
Yeah.
wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah.
But the Sting one was like, whoa.
It didn't happen. Neither one of them happened, but they were, we were trying to get it together.
A lot of people don't know that ECPW is probably one of the only feds that still run the old WWF TV buildings. Is there one building that you go to still and that you run in and you're like, man, I'm part of history when I'm here?
100%. A lot of great buildings like we do Our Lady of Guadalupe, all those
Right.
old buildings. I would say it's used to be called the Kingston Memorial Auditorium.
Sure.
Now it's the Murphy Neighborhood Center.
Oh, is that what it's
up
called
in
now?
It's up in Kingston,
Yeah.
but it is that same building, and it was for years. It was there when they shot the legends like Fred Blassie and Ernie Ladd when they were sitting up in the bleachers.
Yeah. I
And they
remember those
shot in
vignettes.
black and white.
Yeah.
Those vignettes were shot there.
Yeah.
So when we first did our first show there, several years ago, going up in that area, it got me chills.
Yeah.
Because it's history, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then there was another building that we did out in Shirley, Long Island. It used to be called the East End Arena,
Sure.
and we would wrestle. Then it became the Bingo Hall, and we wrestled there. And it was the same place where Andre the Giant was, Ivan Putski, Bruno Sammartino. So like when you're in the ring there and you're kind of like looking around, you can or in your locker room, you almost picture those faces. Like these guys sat right here.
Yeah.
So for me, that's cool stuff because I grew up, obviously a wrestling fan, and getting into the business, always taught to respect those people that came before you.
Right. Absolutely. Now, is there a building ECPW hasn't run that's like, not for nothing, I'd love to before? Because you just celebrated how many years last year? 2023 was your what year in the business?
Myself, so I started in '88, so do the math.
Right. Well, I went to New York City public school, so it's been a long time is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
is there a building that you would still like, not for nothing, if it ever comes to an end, I would love to run?
Oh, geez, I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Like we really do. We run so many cool places. I mean, there's venues that are just too big for what we do.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I don't really have anything in mind. Like, oh my God, I got to run this building because it's so huge. But you have to be practical. Like, you have to go to a place where it's going to be make sense for business.
Yeah. Now, what goals do you have left? Because everybody's like, oh, why does he still run? Why does he still do this? That's a comment to anybody after 20 years of wrestling. Why?
Yeah.
Like, what goals do you still have at this point as a promoter, as a wrestler, as an entrepreneur?
Well, my wrestling is, that's not a main concern
I'll
of mine.
bump for you.
Of course you will. You have no choice.
Well, yeah.
Little bastard. What are you going to do? Sit there and not bump?
No, I'm gonna stiff you one. I'm gonna stiff you one.
No, so I wrestle, like I said, if something is in the storyline
Yeah.
for me to do something, or if we're, doing some, like, these fair shows that we book all through the states, New York, New Jersey, and PA, whatever, so, and those people know me, I wrestle on it, so
Yeah.
those are different. Like last year I would say 10 or 12 shows in a row.
Yeah.
Myself,
Yeah,
wrestling on
I
it.
know. Because then we came back
So,
to TV before.
to
I
not
left you,
do that,
and you're like, I'm beat, dude.
then
It's all you tonight.
it's rough. I mean, like, back in the day you could do that, but you can't do it when you're 60 years old.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, it's fun, and I love the business.
Yeah.
I don't hate coming to work. I don't hate doing it. It's hard work. It's but every day I'm blessed because I'm doing what I wanted to do when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Like,
that-
how many people could say that?
Yeah.
The first time I went to see wrestling in Madison Square Garden, Bruno Sammartino wrestled Ivan Koloff.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there, and Bruno comes out. And you could feel the garden shake. There was no music. There's no light show. There's nothing. And I got like goosebumps. I'm like, holy, this is great.
Yeah.
I want to do this.
Yeah.
And then, boom, I get into the business, and I got to wrestle Ivan Koloff. I got the tag team with Bruno's son, and Bruno being like,
Yeah.
So a lot of cool stuff. And I enjoy teaching the new guys about the business.
Yeah.
And working with them. It's still fun.
I got to watch Bruno Sammartino have a sausage and pepper sandwich. Is that the same thing?
Not quite.
No,
Not
what do you
quite.
mean?
Not
It was
quite.
in why? Because it was in New York, right?
'Cause it was in New York.
Had it been in New Jersey, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's real Italian food. Oh, it was on Mulberry Street.
It was wow. That's the real deal.
Yeah, come on, man.
That's the
It
real
wasn't like I took him to Chinatown for some sausage. Come on. I don't know. But thank you for your time. I had to get you. Good luck
awesome
to you on
stuff,
this
man. I
next tour.
appreciate it. I
Always good to
appreciate
see you. Gino Caruso, ECPW1.com for all your upcoming adrenaline and live event dates. You want to be a pro wrestler, ECPW Training Academy up here in Lake Hakamatooka, or what? Where are we?
Hiawatha.
Gesundheit. Lake Hiawatha, New Jersey here. And we're going to have all the links down in the comments below. This has been The Voice, Cheyenne Ortiz.